Conservation cannot be only a charity based work. Of course, non-profit means charity is how people look at it. But if we want to make conservation successful, our thought is that it has to derive financial goals as well. Hence the integrated approach.
Tell us a little bit about your journey of how this Nature's Nest came to be and what was the thought behind it.
It was a bootstrap that I started with. When I took it up, I just had 20,000 rupees in my pocket. So I could not hire people. So I went to the landlord and said, "Can you lend me some money?"
What is nocturnal?
Nocturnal are creatures that come out in the night.
Okay, so you wanted people to not only enjoy the wildlife during the day, but you also wanted them to see the nightlife in wildlife.
Absolutely. A lot of Indians, they were amazed that Goa even has forest. The other side of Goa, the western parts of Goa.
Back then there was no Instagram, no Facebook, no YouTube. How did you reach out?
I might have about...
How have you expanded the business?
When you look at the journey, as we go ahead, conservation became quite a big focus in addition to tourism from 2021.
So what are you doing in the conservation space now?
We have a non-profit organization called as
Welcome all of you to the episode of Moving Forests with Keshav Sharma. And I have Mr. Pankaj Lad with me today. He is a naturalist, a wildlifer, a birder, an entrepreneur, a hotelier, and much, much more. And today we are going to find out what all Pankaj does.
Yeah.
So welcome, Pankaj. In fact, you welcomed me into your home. So we are sitting in Nature's Nest.
Sure, Keshav. Thank you so much. So I'm a bird watcher primarily and a naturalist and a nature entrepreneur, I would say. That's what I do for a living and for my passion, my profession. Everything is being a naturalist and creating resorts, setups, experiences that give an up-close experience to people in nature. That's all about me.
I think it was 2018 when I met you for the first time through a common friend. And back then, I was moving out of a corporate setup. And I was very excited to meet you. And when I came here and I saw the place, it was beautiful. In a lot of ways, my love affair with wildlife started during that meeting. I went for many nature walks. We spotted a few snakes. But it was not about spotting a snake. It was about meeting you, Ramesh, and the entire team of Nature's Nest and really getting inspired by how you people were living this life. So I'd like to ask you, you are so many things, but you are one person. How did it start and what inspired you to take this route of opening a nature resort? Because it's not a common thing. Even after opening this resort, you've continued with your passion of taking people on tours or birding expeditions and wildlife expeditions and traveling with them. Tell us a little bit about your journey of how this Nature's Nest came to be and what was the thought behind it?
Just like how you said, you moved out of a corporate setup. When I finished my education, I did my master's in geology, the earth science. The thought was that I was already interested in conservation and related activities. But geology, when I pursue as a career in geology, there were very little options that were available to pursue something in nature. So after doing geology, I tried to experiment with what are the opportunities out there. And I worked as a mining geologist for 3 months. And as you know, conservation and mining, they rarely go well hand in hand. I thought that that's not something I want to do and want to carry on with the work towards conservation. So I left mining and I got into guiding people out there in nature, which was something that I was already doing as a student.
This was in which year?
This was in the year 2008. So in the year 2000, I met one of my environmental gurus. From that point, I was already taking people out in nature, mainly during the nature camps. So in 2008, after leaving geology as a field, Guiding was the only thing that I thought can take me close to nature and can help me take people close to nature. So that is how I started with a guiding firm, a nature guiding firm called as Canopy Goa. For 2 years, we did nature guiding, mainly bird watching tours in Goa. People, a lot of foreigners come in Goa to watch birds. So I used to take them out bird watching. And there was a challenge. The challenge was that people stay at the coast and traveling about 1.5 to 2 hours into the Western Ghats was something that was challenging, and you could not see nocturnal species easily. So then I thought we need a base right in the Western Ghats of Goa to showcase the wildlife of Western Ghats. And that is how the idea of Nature's Nest was born. Uh,
So, for everyone's benefit, a lot of people may not be knowing about the terms of wildlife. What is nocturnal?
Nocturnal are creatures that come out in the night. So all these creatures are called as nocturnal creatures.
Okay, so you wanted people to not only enjoy the wildlife during the day, but you also wanted them to see the nightlife in wildlife.
Absolutely. The nightlife in Goa, but
Yeah,
in
but
the
in a
Western
very
Ghats.
different way. Okay, so then what happened? So your thought was that, people should have a better experience.
Yeah,
But just the thought is not enough. I mean, having such a big place, this infrastructure, and
that is.
so many people building a team.
Yes, absolutely. So as a result, I started looking out for places in the Western Ghats and looking out for potential places where I could do a tie-up with a local.
So
I met.
when did this aha moment happen that I want to open a resort? Because it's a very uncommon thought. Like, I can't think of getting a thought that one day I'll open a resort. So it must have been a little more to this story than just that. So what was that?
We formed an NGO in the year 2000. It was called Vivekanand Environment Awareness Brigade. And when you work with a conservation oriented organization, it kind of becomes your life mission, I would say. Doing just guided tours was incomplete to me. Whatever I was doing had to create an impact. The thought was, where can I create an impact through the work that I'm doing? Many times when we were students, we used to travel to different places, spend our own pocket money in traveling to the forest and staying there. Initially, when I started guiding and people started paying me to watch birds, it was very funny. But then, initially,
Why was it funny?
earlier, I used to spend so much money from my own pocket to travel to the forest and watch birds. And then to watch birds and show it to people, people started paying me. So
So you were
initial,
like, this is something I love. Why should I get paid for it? I think that's a beginner's dilemma.
that
When you
is
do
true.
something that you really love, and when people start paying you, you're like, am I cheating with myself?
Yes, yes, that happens.
Yeah.
And initially, the challenge was to come from a non-profit background to a business orientation where you are finding it, as you rightly said, cheating someone to get paid for something that you love doing. So, so as the years passed, you realize that you need to do something more serious and that can create an impact. Because, as I said, with a NGO background, a conservation background, you want to make that impact. And how will the wildlife benefit from your work? How will people who live in the surrounding areas where wildlife is located? How will they benefit? Is what you think about. Right in the beginning, when I started, it was called Canopy Goa, an ecotourism venture with a difference.
Mhm.
And the difference was that ecotourism is when you create an impact. It's just not nature tourism. When you take people out into the forest, show them natural areas or wildlife, it's just nature tourism. But when there is an impact that is associated, either a positive impact on wildlife or on the community, that is ecotourism. So that was always the thought. But we could not do it what I thought would be possible with a resort. Why? Because you will be able to employ local community from the forest area.
Mm.
At the same time, you will have a setup where you can employ more naturalists. As I was a naturalist and I did not have opportunity in Goa back then to choose the career of a naturalist, I had to create everything from scratch. So the idea of nature resort was because of that I will be able to create a team where naturalists will be a part of the team and a robust setup where both these impacts would be possible. Conservation impact towards the wildlife and community impact by employing or creating livelihood for the community. So that was a very strong thought for 2 years. In addition to what I said, that people should be able to
See the nocturnal
experience,
side.
see the nocturnal side of forest, and the experience is complete with that. So these three reasons basically made me come up with the idea of a resort.
So, how has the journey been since 2008?
The journey has been very adventurous, something that I knew it would be, and has been good fun.
Okay. So, how did it start? Did you start with one or two cottages, or you came up with the whole setup?
So in 2008, there were luckily some of the setup was already there, but I did not have the capital. It was a bootstrap that I started with. So there were these same number of rooms that were available then, but they were completely dilapidated because the local person who owned this place had started to run it but could not run it.
Hmm.
So when I took it up, I just had 20,000
Okay.
rupees in my pocket. So I could not hire people. So I went to the landlord and said, "Can you lend me some money?" So he was even he wanted to this place to be successful. So I put in 20,000 rupees and he put in 20,000 rupees.
Mhm.
And with 40,000, you can't definitely start a resort.
Yeah.
So I could not do much. So I joined hands with one of my friends, Ramesh Zarmekar. He is a fine naturalist and still my partner. And both of us worked like laborers, fixing the rooms
Hmm.
and getting the material and fixing the rooms at least to make it livable. So we worked as carpenters, as laborers, as masons, as everything, and we started everything like that. So, and after that, I started approaching my friends to visit this place. And for having run Canopy Goa for 2 years, I already had the contacts.
Mhm.
People who wanted to see the wild side and were ready to rough it out back then. So we then changed our roles and some people started coming. My friends started coming with their groups, with their families. And other than cooking, rest of the things we both were doing. And we had a room boy, we had a cook, and two of us. So we did everything right from waitering to being
Wow.
naturalist to being guides to serving people, also room service, everything we started back. That is how the journey, and that's the beauty of bootstrapping, where you realize the challenges and you are able to overcome them in a nice way. And most encouraging thing, I was able to accomplish two of my goals right from day one. First, we could employ two people from the forest areas right on day one. Second, the conservation awareness started where I already started getting people and showcasing them the other side of Goa, the western ghats of Goa. As a result, a lot of Indians started traveling. They were amazed that Goa even has forest. And that was another goal that I could achieve right from day one.
That's amazing that, from day one, you could see that your dream was coming close to fruition. How many people did you have as your contacts? Because you said you had Canopy Goa. And to run a resort these days, people do so many things. They run marketing campaigns, they make promotion videos. Back then, there was no Instagram, no Facebook, no YouTube. YouTube maybe was just starting out. Now there are so many avenues. Even if you have less money and if you have people who are doing posting stuff on social media, there is a way for you to reach out. How did you reach out? What was this number of contacts that you had when you had Canopy Goa?
I might have about 100 contacts, but they were good contacts. In the initial 2 years, I did not earn the money. Also, after starting Nature's Nest, it took about 4 years for us to start making the profits.
Mhm.
But what I earned back then were people. So people were supportive. So whichever contact we had, they were extremely supportive. So only few were enough to start it. But then after that, marketing and sales is not a natural skill for a naturalist. A naturalist wants to be out always in the forest. Back then, I had learned email marketing was there. So I learned it myself, even the website, SEO, all that I learned myself. And that is how we started getting people. And 2 years before Nature's Nest, as I said, we had run Canopy Goa. Bird watchers were our focus. So this place was started especially keeping in mind the needs of the bird watchers. So when I started contacting my old clients back from Mumbai, from Pune, They started coming with their groups and they brought in their group, and these contacts were leveraged to cater to the new business.
So now fast forward, how is the business now? Did you achieve all the goals that you were set out to achieve? How have you expanded the business?
When you look at the journey, as we go ahead, as we progress in the journey, the goals keep on expanding. Something that you thought in 2008 that you would achieve, when you start achieving that, your goals expand. So in 2015-16, when we started hitting the profits, we wanted to do more. So just before we started making the profits in 2014, just showing the wildlife in the Western Ghats was not enough for me. So I started something called as India Untamed, to take people outside Goa to the wildlife areas. And we started with the travel wing. Now it's called Planet Life Experiencing. At the same time, at Nature's Nest itself, we were doing only bird watching earlier. Then we started with other programs for wildlife watching. We started with safaris, night safaris in Goa. We started with conservation oriented programs in Goa. So these are the aspects we started covering. We started training more naturalists, hiring more guides. So all that we started. In 2021, I would say a new chapter also started. We started expanding in terms of number of properties. So we started with one more sustainable villa
Oh,
in
nice.
Goa itself with a same thing. That is how we expanded. We also took about 15 acres area, which is called conservation hotspot now. It was a degraded forest, and we started to slowly restore that and creating water holes, allowing natural regeneration of plants, all that we started. Conservation impact is something that we have actually started doing. And we also started with otter conservation project. Very few people know that otters exist in their backyard. Conservation became quite a big focus in addition to tourism from 2021.
So what are you doing in the conservation space now?
We have a non-profit organization called as Planet Life Foundation.
I think I'm having trouble remembering all the names. So you started with the Vivekanand Environment Brigade.
Yes.
Then this was the NGO that you founded or you joined?
Yes. I mean, I co-founded with other nature lovers.
The Vivekanand Environment Brigade, after that Canopy Goa, then Nature's Nest, then Planet Life Resorts,
Yeah.
Planet Life Experiences, and now Planet Life Foundation, which is the conservation wing of your setup.
Yes.
Yeah, so tell us more about it. What are you working on right now?
So Planet Life Foundation looks at the non-financial goals of the business. Of course, business is founded with two goals. One are the financial goals and the non-financial goals. The non-financial goals of the business are focused around conservation, and that was the case right from day one, and community impact. So through that, we have started with two projects. One is an otter conservation project, as I said, and the conservation hotspot. Conservation hotspot is, both these projects fall under a category called as conservation beyond protected areas. The thought is that government already has protected areas, wildlife sanctuaries, national parks. What can we as individuals or businesses do to protect forest which is beyond the protected areas? It may be private forests, it may be community lands. And the thought is also that conservation cannot be only a charity based work. Planet Life Foundation will support and will conduct or do the field work and the action work, whereas the business will support this through financial means. So it's an integrated approach that we have. Planet Life Resorts and Planet Life Foundation works hand in hand to make the impact possible. That is how the model is designed. And many times we look at something that is not a profitable venture. It's only considered as, of course, non-profit means charity is how people look at it. But if we want to make conservation successful, our thought is that it has to derive financial goals as well. Hence the integrated approach. So Planet Life Resorts and Foundation works hand in hand. Two projects we run under.
So how do you define
that.
financial goals for Planet Life Foundation?
Planet Life Foundation would not have financial goals. It will help Planet Life Resorts and the profitable entities implement financial goals. That is the concept.
Okay.
So it's an integrated approach, and both can work independently as well. But if a non-profit entity works with a profit-making entity, then there are benefits that you can exchange and create a bigger impact.
Okay.
People will not perceive conservation only as a charitable,
So go a
work.
little bit deeper into it. Like, what do you mean when you say that you integrate a non-profit foundation with a business which has financial goals? So,
Yes.
what is there for the listeners to know about it?
Yes. So, as I said, conservation beyond protected areas is the goal. You can do a lot in that domain, and Planet Life Resorts is working towards that. Like there are private forests which are beyond the protected areas, which are not a part of a national park or a sanctuary, but they are close to it in the buffer areas or places like that. There is great amount of vulnerability that these lands have. That is, they might be converted. These forests might get converted to plantations. They might get converted to residential areas. They might get converted into something else that might be destructive to the wildlife. So that is when Planet Life Foundation and Planet Life Resorts step in. We create a model wherein we check if the private forest, like for example, Nature's Nest, is a plantation, but at the same time, we have created, lot of natural space around it. So these private forests would be taken up and created into spaces. So it will not be that the forest will be cleared and plantation will be grown, which destroys a lot of home for the wildlife. Spaces will be selected where low impact accommodation can be created for travelers. So that is when the expertise of Planet Life Resorts come in. Whereas the Planet Life Foundation steps in and creates conservation impact projects around that. May it be monitoring of wildlife in that area, or regeneration of certain areas where attention is needed, creating awareness programs in the community, and Planet Life Resorts would at the same time employ the community through financial means. So community doesn't feel that, oh, I'm just, getting little benefits out of this. Community feels that, wow, it's also creating employment for me. It's also creating financial avenues for me. So that is what I mean by an integrated approach.
That's a
And
great approach to have,
yeah,
because a lot of these families get dislocated or relocated when things like residential establishment expansion happens, and then the government struggles. So I've also seen a lot of families living nearby Tamri Surla, and I also heard from you once that you were doing something with them. So what was that, if you'd like to share with us?
yes, sure. So as a part of the community initiative itself, we started with something called as Planet Life Foods. The idea was to uh, employ especially women in these surrounding areas of the forest which needs financial support, like they were either single mothers or they were struggling financially due to various reasons. That was the thought behind it. So that is what we started, especially in COVID situation. Why? Because the local women who are employed with us, hospitality was completely affected and we had to otherwise discontinue them. So to continue their employment, that is what we started during the COVID time, so that they get their salaries and continuity of the economic benefits in a dire situation like that. So that was the thought behind starting Planet Life Foods. Right now we have paused it for a while. Then eventually we want to start it again as our community initiative gets more clarity, it gets its required growth. Yes, that is when we will start it again. Right now our focus is balancing conservation and tourism, and that is what we are trying to do.